almost realistic. There's only one scene that I watched and I was kind of like going, all right, that's clearly fake, which was whenever all the cavalry are coming down the hill.
They get wiped out.
Yeah, it's like, that's clearly fake. But the most of it, though, I mean, it looks like, I mean, the backdrop and everything looks like a painting, and it looks real, and then you see the actors interacting with it. And I mean, it's very hard to tell. That it's like, is that really a green screen? It's very difficult, but it was great. I thought those scenes were very well done. I personally didn't really like how it was like a story being told to the little kid.
Yeah, it was like a Princess Bride type sort of thing. Like,
I felt like that was like a favor to someone. Like Gore Verbinski was like, had like, he had his buddy from, the Circle Jerks or something like that. He was a punk rock director for years. Probably was like, hey man, can you put my kid in your movie? And he's like, why not? Probably. But it was great. But we had to think about it at the time when it came out,
people were hating it before it came out.
Oh yeah. That was because,
Johnny Depp.
It was Johnny Depp. He was playing a Native American.
Did he have was the Amber Heard thing in the news?
No, that wasn't there yet. That was like, I think 2 years later.
Maybe that's the massive budget. Everyone's like, this movie's over budget, so it sucks. Like John Carter.
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, that was the other thing was John Carter.
They like hated it before it came out.
Well, I mean, John Carter.
I liked it. Oof. I think that movie was doomed before it came out, I believe.
Well, it was supposed to come out when I was in college, and then it didn't come out till like 5 years later. Because I remember it was supposed to come out like in 2007 or 06, and then it didn't come out till like 2011.
Expensive, a lot of visual effects.
Oh yeah, I mean it's right up there with Prince of Persia, but
yeah,
that's a lot of visual effects. But it was just like, what are you really expecting when you see this? I mean, it wouldn't be the same if it wasn't without the visual effects. Johnny Depp playing a Native American, and to balance that, he said, "Well, it's because I'm actually 1/3 Native American." It's like, oh, Johnny, you're just digging yourself.
And then he took a test, a DNA.
Yeah, it turns out he was 1/24,000%.
He's like 70%. Everyone's like, wait, what?
Whoa. Okay, so now he got more jobs.
Holy crap.
So now we have more.
Imagine that. I'm 1/64th. Actually, you're 87%. Wait, what?
Like high fives. And I think that the Lone Ranger, it was just a bad timing. I mean, we already did the Pirates movies, which that was a gamble in itself.
Yeah.
And no one was really expecting those to take off very well. I liked the first one. The second one I thought was kind of dumb. The third one was horrible. I didn't see 4 or 17 or however many.
5 is fun because there's zombie sharks.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
But I think this one just had bad press. I mean, they're a Lone Ranger. $250 million wasn't really needed.
No, it definitely was not. They could have made an equally as good movie with half the budget, I think so, and also about half the time, because the movie's like 2.5 hours long, almost 2 hours and 40
There's
minutes.
A lot of meat on that bone. You can make some broth with this movie. You can make soup, not broth.
You can make an entire Thanksgiving meal.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just there was just so much going on. I thought one of the bigger scenes that was just not really necessary or needed was the end scene where the Lone Ranger and that whole scene was like 15 minutes. That was a very long.
Oh, the train sequence. Yeah, I love that at the end.
It's cool, but holy smokes!
Yeah, I liked. I love the bit when Johnny Depp is on the ladder, and he's going back and forth between the different trains.
Yeah.
I guess for me, this movie, I think I went into it knowing that everyone was already hating on it, so I was like, maybe this movie might be good. And Gore Verbinski, he made Cure for Wellness. We did a podcast on it. I don't know if you watched it.
Yeah.
That's a big bloated movie too, but I love it. His Pirates movies were big and after one were big and kind of bloated. Mm-hmm. So I just
and all of his he did a lot of punk rock, a lot of punk videos and a lot of skateboard videos, which is where he gets his ideas for the more of the stunts that he has, which is why they look more crazy.
Well, that's interesting. Like in the first Pirates, the sword fight between Orlando Bloom and Johnny Depp, that was really creative. He does do some pretty good set pieces, and I just think
he's really good with what he does. It's just I think that he kind of overshot it with the Lone Ranger, and is just kind of like, let's just put as much as we can possibly fit into this movie.
Yeah, and a lot of people are just they say it's the biggest flop ever. They say it's like terrible. This is not. It made $260 million worldwide. It easily lost Disney. Easily lost them $100 million.
Yeah, that's a big flop.
But there's been bigger. So,
Yeah,
but I just don't think this movie is that bad. I think there's like a weird hate towards it. Maybe because of the big budget, maybe because of the Johnny Depp stuff, but...
Well, Johnny Depp was at the end of his like Johnny Deppness.
Yeah, his big reign.
I mean, he was really at his peak in like I'd say like 2009-ish, like somewhere around that. The Secret Window, I think, was probably like where he was trying to branch out and no longer do his Hunter Thompson stuff anymore.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I mean, after he did Fear and Loathing, he did Pirates, and then Pirates was like more, it was the biggest thing ever. So it was like everybody just wanted to see Johnny Depp doing Johnny Depp, and it's like, well, this guy can actually act. If anybody remembers, like, he really does do decent roles. He can do stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as most people hate this movie, I don't think it's not as terrible, but it is a bad movie.
Oh, so you're not into this movie?
No,
it's not that bad.
No, The Tourist.
Oh, oh, that's bad.
Yeah, that's a bad movie, but he does do a good job.
The Tourist isn't bad. It's just bland. Like it's just a tapioca
The ending
pudding.
was just god awful, especially when he's like, but he doesn't have that color of hair. He's like, hair dye, and they're like, but he smokes 2 packs a day, electronic cigarette, and you're like, oh come on. Like, and what about the Ninth Gate? The Ninth Gate, yeah. That was that scene. I mean, the whole thing with like the woman floating down from the steps. It's like classic, and it's just like, yep, I just watched this woman float down a staircase and then kill these 3 guys. Like, and it's not like, and it's very Roman Polanski. Like, you're watching some crazy stuff, and it's like, just deal with it.
The Tourist had a boat chase in Venice. That's boring.
Yeah, hey.
That's a really boring boat chase right there. I guess for me, I'm saying The Lone Ranger is not that bad because it's a $250 million movie where every cent is seen on screen. They built train tracks to do it. Like, it's just...
They really went above and beyond.
It's brash. It's very violent. A lot of people die. There's a dark sense of humor in it. That band collapses. Remember? And then later on, they're playing. They all have, like, neck braces on. It's a very weird sense of humor. I just love that this $250 million Lone Ranger movie was made. That weird.
That's definitely above and beyond. But, I mean, they gave him all that money based off of the success of Pirates. I mean, I guess the way they looked at it was even if it was a massive failure, they would still come out in the green.
They got that Pirates money.
They get them. I mean, how many billions of dollars have those made? I mean,
I wonder how much the DVD of Pirates made.
I don't even want to know.
That was a legit event. That was a cultural, like, not a cultural, that sounds bad, but that was a blockbuster.
That was a big thing. And a lot of people went above and beyond. That's whenever everybody started liking Johnny Depp. Yeah. I mean, I remember going to the DVD store whenever I was in high school still, and people were saying, "Oh my God, Johnny Depp's like the greatest actor ever. Like, how do you not love him?" I was like, "I don't know, 21 Jump Street wasn't that good." It's like, what's that? Haven't you ever seen, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas? Like,
or Edward Scissorhands?
Yeah, Edward Scissorhands, which...
I love that movie. His performance.
His performance is great. The overall movie's like...
It's pretty interesting how much of a chance he took on Pirates. And then that felt organic, and I felt a lot of the chances he took off that didn't really feel too organic.
He was repeating what he had done from that. And he was already in Pirates, he was doing Fear and Loathing. So then it was just bigger on Pirates, and then after Pirates, everything was just that. So everyone associated Jack Sparrow with, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory or Transcendence and et cetera, et cetera. And it's like they weren't really. It wasn't very good acting, but he knew what sold, and that's what sold was him wearing his scarf and being like, and it's like, that'll sell like so many, like, women love me. It's like, okay, like
I do love the visual in Lone Ranger where the horse is standing in the tree.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, this horse always does crazy stuff, and Tonto is just like, oh my gosh, what kind of horse is this? Like, I love the horse. So it's not that bad. All right, what's your next one?
Sorry. I just want to add to Lone Ranger when he's like, "Can you stop calling me Kimosabe? Do you even know what Tonto means in Spanish?" Such a great line. Apparently, in the Spanish version of that movie, it's not Tonto, it's Toro.
Oh.
Because Tonto, I forget, it's an insult in Spanish, whereas Toro means bull.
Oh, I remember that line. That's fun.
That's a fun one. Mine is 2017's Triple X3, The Return of Xander Cage. I saw this movie in the Dollar Theater. I absolutely loved it right off the bat. I don't really understand why there's so much hate for it. Like, it's a 5.2 on IMDb, 47% on Rotten Tomatoes, 37% with the audience, and a 42 Metascore.
This movie's bonkers, and it only made $44 million domestic, which isn't much, but it made $346 million worldwide. Which
and on an $85 million budget, which is ridiculous. There's I gotta say is, okay, this is, the first one came out in 2001. This one came out in 2017. There's only been one other one, which was with Ice Cube before he started doing family movies and, pulling an Eddie Murphy. What were you expecting? What were people honestly expecting with 50-year-old Vin Diesel, who decided not to go back to any action movies and wanted to be a serious actor, but of course he had bills to pay because Find Me Guilty bankrupt him almost.
A Man Apart.
I liked A Man Apart.
Yeah, but
Lorenz Tate was the shit.
He left Fast and the Furious to do A Man Apart, and then he left his family, and then he went back to Fast because we're family. But A Man Apart. It's funny that he left the family to do A Man Apart.
A man who's all about his family.
Yeah.
It starts out with Vin Diesel on skis going through. Oh, I'm sorry, but he's on a radio tower first, or a TV tower. Jumps off of that
quarter mile
as he's falling down. Gives them the finger. The guys are like, "Come on down now, no!"
And they know him. They're like, "Xander, come on, man!"
Yeah, like so they know he's going to do something. So it's like there's no tension there. Jumps off, gives them the finger, lands on skis his way through the jungle, hops off the
jungle. He has no roots. He careens off a tree that's 14. He jumps something, bounces off a palm tree, and then goes down. He hits no roots, and it's beautiful. I mean, it's so dorky.
And he goes onto a skateboard that he takes from those kids, like, "Yay, Xander!"
I'd be like, "Yo, Xander!"
I mean, like, you took my skateboard. Yeah. We only got like one of those in the entire island. Marty McFly's his way through the town, risks life and limb, quite literally, just so that people can watch the soccer match.
He's Robin Hood.
Unbelievable. You got Donnie Yen, who everybody should know from Ip Man, if you haven't seen
he's so good in it.
He was originally supposed to be Jet Li. That was supposed to play it, but they couldn't get scheduling conflicts to work out. But I thought Jet Li retired.
I like Donnie Yen better now. I loved him in this movie.
Oh, he's dynamite.
And
Jesus.
I love that crew in general. Him, Michael Bisping, who's one of my favorite MMA fighters. He was the UFC middleweight champ for a while. The British guy.
Oh,
yeah.
Damn.
He was in the UFC. He was a middleweight champ.
Oh.
He had the most wins in UFC history. Then you had Tony Jaa from Ong Bak. Like, I loved all these people in this movie.
Deepika Padukone? I can't pronounce her name, but the lady that's in that.
Oh, yeah.
This is like her American breakthrough. She was originally supposed to do Fast 7, but she decided to do this because of scheduling conflicts.
Nice. Oh, she was going to do Fast 7?
Yeah. What is it called? Fast 7 or Furious 7? Furious 7.
Furious 7.
But that was, I mean, she's great in it too. The only thing I had kind of like a weird issue with is that she's like clearly way better looking than anything that Vin Diesel could ever get. And he's like 50, and she's like the love interest, even though she's 31, he's 50.
He creeps me out a little bit in this movie.
That was like the creepy thing. That was really like, I was just like, maybe we should have cut that part out, because you're maybe if this was like the first XXX movie, I'd believe it because you would have been around the same age. Not so much now that you're way drastically older. But the great scene with them while they're at the bar, or the club scene where we're kind of first introduced to her, they have their grenades and they're using it like Russian roulette. That was really creative and cool, because I mean they kind of throw them across the table and they have to catch it and hold the pin before it blows up. I mean there's some really good scenes with that. I mean you got the opening, you have the motorcycle jet skis. I mean, come on.
Vin Diesel chases Donnie Yen on a motorcycle jet ski. Like life doesn't get any better than that. And then I like the return of Ice Cube. The one thing though, this movie starts a little rough because after he skis down the mountain, he hooks up with like this beautiful woman, right?
Yeah.
And then he just leaves her. Like,
that didn't make too much sense.
And then he shows up at this hacker woman's house and he has like an orgy with all these 20-year-old girls.
But you can't forget that coat, the big puffy coat.
But it made me feel kind of dirty watching Vin Diesel just mac on all these 20-year-old girls.
And it really grossed me out because he's like, "Oh baby, what's up?" And
yeah,
it's like it was just that was gross, but it's just so it's the whole overall feel of it, because it's like, well, of course, I mean it's a XXX Part 3 movie, and it's like, come on, I mean.
I hope he did that humorously and not just like, yeah, people want me. I thought Nina Dobrev was off. Like, they just let her loose in this movie. I thought she was really fun in this.
I like
as,
how she
the
was a
hacker.
lot different than what she would normally play, which would be more like an uptight